I want to officially welcome everyone, and I'm so glad to have you here for this session because I'm about to show you one of Excel's most underrated superpowers, tables. Okay, so when most people think of Excel, they think of grids of data and formulas, but few realize how much easier, faster, and smarter Excel becomes when you use tables. Okay. So whether you are managing maybe an human resources record, your HR record, or your personal data, or customer lists, product inventories, or sales data, tables turn your spreadsheet into a living, breathing, self-organizing database. Okay. So you know the best part? They are very simple. Okay, tables very simple, and it helps your workflow easier and optimized. So you don't need to be an Excel wizard to use them. Okay? It's not something that you have to be a wizard. It's something that once you just understand how it works, that's all. Okay, but once you know how to use it, they will change how you work forever. Okay, so today I will guide you step by step. First, we will explore what tables are and why they matter. Then we will go hands-on, creating tables, formatting them, sorting, filtering, using total, okay, then handling duplicates and even seeing how tables automate tasks like updating charts and formulas automatically. Okay, so by the end of this class, you will confidently know how to turn a boring spreadsheet into a dynamic, reliable data tool. And you will wonder why nobody taught you this sooner. Okay, so if you're ready, we'll dive in and get started. Okay, so we'll start with the introduction to Excel tables, because we are actually dealing with Excel. Okay, so we need to know what are tables in Excel. When we say tables, what are tables in Excel? Why tables are game changing, and the benefits of tables over regular ranges. Okay, right? The normal ranges, every workbook presented in range, but you can convert them to a table for easy workflow and all that. Okay, so we'll start with a simple question, as we can see there. Say, what exactly is an Excel table, or what are tables in Excel? Okay, you might think of it as just a formatted block of data. Okay, because of the way it looks like. So tables are usually it usually appeared formatted. Okay, but it's way more than that. Okay, it's way more than just the format or how it looks. How it appears to you. Okay, tables transform your static data into something dynamic. When you have a range, I mean the ranges, when the data are in ranges, they are static. But the moment you convert them to tables, they become dynamic, automated. So you may not need to, perform some certain things manually. Okay, some of the things, they have been automatically automated, and the table becomes smart. Your data becomes smart. It understands what you have done before, and it doesn't have to, do them repeatedly. Okay, so the moment you transform your data ranges to tables, it transforms from being static, okay, being a static data, into something that is dynamic, okay, and automated and smart. So they help Excel treat your data set as a mini database, making it easier to manage, sort, analyze, and expand as needed. Okay, so today you will see why experienced Excel users always say, I wish I knew about tables sooner. Okay, so the first thing is how to create a table. How do we create a table? Creating a table is super simple. Just, it's just click on where you need to click and do what you have to do. Okay, it is really very, very, very simple. As in, it's not something that you have to, be confused about. Okay, creating a table is super simple. Just click anywhere inside your data set. Okay, then you go to the insert. If you go to the insert tab, then you select table, or simply you can use Ctrl T. We don't have to go to the insert tab and select click table. Okay, once you click into the once you click anywhere inside your data set, then you can use Ctrl plus T. Okay, then it will convert, or it will rather transform the range, the data range, into a table. Okay, once you use that Ctrl plus T, or whether you go to insert tab and select click on table, Excel will automatically detect the range. Okay, Excel will automatically detect the range. Then check the box. Yeah, okay, let's move to Excel and actually see as I explain. So this is a data range, right? These are ranges of data in Excel. Now, before you can transform to a table, you need to click anywhere inside the data. Okay, let me just click this place. Then you go to the insert tab. You go to the insert tab and then you select table. Okay, or you can see table, you can select table, or you can use Ctrl plus T. Okay, so let me select table. Okay, you can see Excel automatically detect the range. You can see the range. It knows, okay, where the data started and where it ended. Okay, then you can make sure that you click this my table has headers. Okay, so that Excel will know that probably the first rows are the headers. Okay, so make sure that you have this my table has headers checked. Okay, make sure you have them checked. So if your first row contain headings, which it does, okay, Excel will treat them as what? Headers. So once I click OK, okay, probably I've created a table. You will notice, once I've created this table, now you will notice the design changes. Okay, it changes from how it looks, why it was a data range, understand, why it was yet a range. It as it changed, the look changes, understand. Okay, you also notice that you have what is we call banded rows. Okay, you see all these formatting, they're called banded rows. Okay, they are banded. Then you also, if I click on this, if I uncheck these banded rows, you see all of that will disappear. Okay, but let's leave it like that for now. Then you also see that filters button has been added. These are filters button. Okay? You can see they have been added. So you don't even have to bother about going to the data tab, looking for filter and all that. You can perform the filter from here, right? So it has been added. So you see how the benefit of using a table instead of the normal range. Okay. Then another thing is that a new table tool design, which is very, very, very necessary while you are working with a table, will be added to the tab. Okay. A new table tool design tab will appear at the top here, right? As you can see over here, right? So this is a contextual tab. The table to design tab is a contextual tab, meaning it only shows when your table is selected. Okay, so if you go to out of this table and click here, you see the design tab will disappear. Okay, but the moment I click into the table or select any cell or data in our table, the design tab will appear again. But if I click away, it will disappear. Okay, so that's the functionalities that Excel add to our data once we convert it, or rather transform it from a range to a table. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is formatting tables for quality. Okay, so it's like you can decide to change the table name. Okay, example, you want to name it an HR, understand? Or you can toggle the header row or banded rows, columns that I told you that I can decide to remove the banded rows like that. But decided to leave it for now. So you can actually go there, toggle it on or off, either the banded rows or banded columns. Okay, then you can apply table styles. You can remove conflicting formats if needed. Okay, so we'll see how these are done in Excel. Okay, so things are not just about function. We learn about function, right? But tables are not just about function; they are about readability. That's one thing that makes it very um dynamic and beneficial. So in fact, what makes it very smart? Okay, so tables are not just about the function, how the functions appeared and all that. They are about readability too. Okay, so the first thing I always do is to rename my table. Okay, because once you have a table, probably Excel will name it something like table one, or that's by default. Okay, so we name it, we call it table one. Okay, but that's not helpful. Okay, so if you go to the on the far fetched left of the table design tab, okay, on the far fetched, first of all, you have to select that design tab. That's number one thing, because you're working with table now. So you have to make sure you go to that design tab, because you actually want to format or use work on the table. So if you go to the far on the far left of the table, you see the name of the table. They say table name, right? And you see by Excel names it table one. But when you are working with maybe in another sheet, might not be helpful for you to be able to know, okay, which table you want to select. Okay, you might even get confused. Okay, it's not helpful at all. So what we will do is that we can try to change it to HRO data. Okay, if you click into it, then you can type, let's say, HRO something like this underscore then data. Okay, then click enter. Okay, so I have renamed the table from just table one to a more meaningful name. Okay, so even if I'm working with a colleague, once they see HR data, they know that, okay, this table is an HRO. This table contains information about staffs, okay, or employees or something like that. Okay, you can toggle options like header rules. Okay, here you can decide if you want to toggle it off on or header rules. Okay, but it's important that you always keep it on. Okay, if I toggle it off now, you see, it will disappear. But it's important that you always keep it on. Okay, because it's actually and you can see as I toggle it on, the formatting that it was before disappeared. Okay, so but that's not a problem. So make sure you always leave the header rule on, because it's actually like the field what that will even make you understand what these source data or values are. If I toggle it off, you might not know what this 01, 02, 03, 02, whatever it is. You might not be able to know what information this. Okay, so they are the table header, okay, that helps you understand your data. Then we can decide to toggle on or off a branded rows or column. Like I told you, if I turn this off, you see the banded rows disappeared. Okay, so I can decide to turn it on again. Then the same thing, I can decide to turn on banded columns as well. So the same thing, like you can see here is white, here is blue, like a banded rows will also be done for the column. So this one might be blue, this one remain white, this one we are talking about the column this time, not the rows. So if I decide to turn it on, you can see how it looks like. So you can actually decide to toggle the banded rows or banded columns on to format your data how you want it to look like. Okay, but for now, let me leave the banded columns off. Let me toggle it off. Then first or last column emphasis is needed. Okay, so what you have to do is you can, okay, let's go to the style now. So for instance, now you want to um choose or pick a table style that fits. Okay, and yes, Excel lets you preview different styles live. So you can, if you come here, you see under the design tab, you see the table styles group. So from here, you can select different styles that you want to see. As I hover through them, the changes for us. Then you can decide to click here to see more. Okay. Or you can even click here to go down. Okay. So what I can decide to click here. Okay. You see more of the designs that are available. You can decide to go down and select probably anyone that appeal to you. Okay. Or depending on the um maybe style, the company style, the style company use, or maybe the one that meets or matches the primary core of your brand or business and all that. So you can choose to maybe select anyone you write, maybe decide to choose this, or you can decide to choose this, or you might decide to choose the one, anyone that maybe looks more simple. Maybe, okay, what if you decide to, okay, let's choose this one for instance now. If you decide to use this one, you see that maybe the banded rules that we have seems like they are no longer visible, but they are there. It's just that the style we use is, the table style we use has formatted it to appear, or rather to look like this. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk is that you can actually compare tables versus ranges. Okay, so let's go to the slide. Okay, so we want to compare tables versus ranges. Okay, so one thing here is that um, when you are working with tables, okay, it has an easier, what is called easier row column selection. Okay, you can, once you create a new column, the formatting will, you know will copy to the new column. You don't have to do that manually, but it is not like that when you are using the a normal range. Okay, then you can use Ctrl A. Okay, when you use Ctrl A, the data or header plus. This case, if it is what's it called? If it is the range, if you say Ctrl plus A to select the entire data, but in a table, when you click Ctrl A, it might select just the data. Then if you click on it again, it will select the headers. Understand? So if you want to just select just the data, you click once. Then if you want to select both the header and the data, you click Ctrl A twice. See? So let me explain it further. So it's a key mindset shift for us. We need to, what I just said now, okay? We need to have it in mind, and we need to understand that while you're working with table, okay? So if you click Ctrl plus A, you might not have, especially when you want to select both header and the data, you have to click it twice. Otherwise, if you click it once, you might select only the data without knowing. So this should be, something you retain in your mind. So working with table feels very different from regular ranges. Okay, it feels very different. Even just like I told you about the Ctrl plus A that you can use. Okay, now if you need to select a row, okay, you can simply hover at the left. Let's go to the let's go to so if I want to select a row, once I go to the end, you see, once I hover at the end, you see an arrow, it points towards the right. If I click on it, it will select all that row entirely. Okay, as I hover at the left of that particular row, okay, you will see a black arrow. As you can see, if I move it, okay, that black arrow that points to the right, if I click on it, sorry, it will select the entire row for me. Okay, the same thing applies to column as well. Okay, the whole row is selected. Okay, so if I go to column as well, you see, okay, I see how far I was going to the table header. Sorry about that. So if you go to the column, if you click on the column it will point down well. Okay, and if I click it, it will select the entire column. Okay, so it's just the same. And if we want to use Control A, just like I was explaining, let me just click it somewhere inside the table. And if I say Control A, okay, it behaves differently when you are using just normal what's it called? Normal range. Okay. So if I say Control A, for instance, now, let me press it once, Control A. You can see it selects only, if you look, you see this kind of green line that is here. The headers are not selected. So if you press it once, you select the data. If I press it again, you now select both the data and the headers as well. Okay. Then, even if you have blank cells, the table keeps it structured, as in it keeps the structure intact. That's another thing about a table. So even if I decide to, manually maybe just add something. Let me say E 1254. Let me just add something and I click enter. You see, even though it has, the reason why you are seeing here is that this particular column has been, was created using the name, the first name and last name to create an email. So because here is empty, but at least we are able, can see it. I don't have to manually add anything here. Understand? I don't have to manually maybe create. Once I add the person's name here, add maybe the person's first name and the last name, it will update here automatically. Understand? So that's it. Then even though we have blank rows here, you can see they are still formatted for us the way it looks like. Okay, so this is just what I want to show you. If I decide to say, okay, Ken here, let me see, and now you can see the functionality once I'm typing to suggest name maybe from the ones they are written area. So I can say Ken, and I'll say tab to go move to the other. You can see say .Ken because the name, the email was created from the last and the first name, right? So this is the last name. Now, let's say the first name is Matt. Okay. And if I click enter, you will see mark.ken at pushpin. It has added it for me. Okay. But we don't need this rule. So I'll undo it. I just want to show you the functionality. So even if you had a blank cell, the table will still retain the format. Okay, is the format, the structure, I mean to say, the structures are intact, even if the cells are blank. Okay, the table doesn't break like normal the range does. Okay, it doesn't break like the range does. Okay, so like if you skip, probably if you skip in a range, if you skip any, if you have any sorry, any blank row or column, it will break from there. But table doesn't break. Understand? It doesn't break. Every of the data remain structure. Okay. So think of tables as mini databases where each row is a complete record. Let me see what we have here. Come in. So I want to see how many people are actually listening. Okay. So I don't know if you are listening. I hope you understand all I have explained so far. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. So the next thing we want to talk about is the managing duplicate records. Okay, how you can manage duplicate records um in your table. Can you mute your mic, please? Okay. So Now let's talk about data cleaning. Let's talk about data cleaning. So it often whenever you're working with data. In fact, data cleaning is one of the steps or phases of data analysis. Okay, why either preparing or processing your data for analysis, data cleaning is a crucial part, a very important part of data analysis. Okay, so it's something that happens often. Okay, once you whether you import a new data or you extract it from your website or however you do it, the first thing you have to do is to make sure the data is clean. Okay, is the data clean? I have to make sure it is clean. And having a dirty data doesn't mean that the data will look dirty like there is a dirt on it and all that. But it could be just because there are duplicates. Duplicate is one of the things that your data to be dirty. Okay, duplicate is one of it, and it's something that happens often, especially when a user entered their information twice. Okay, or the person that the data specialist or the person that enters the data mistakenly entered the information twice. So once this happens, the especially when you are trying to share an insight, the information or the insight you share might be misleading. Okay, so you have to make sure that the data is clean and there is no duplicate. So now we want to manage duplicate record in our tables. Okay, so let's talk about data cleaning. But before that, I think I wanted to show us something. When I was explaining about tables versus ranges, there is a okay that I prepared. So you can see this is a table, this is a range, right? You can see the difference. This chart is created using table, while this is created using the what's it called? The range, right? So if I click into this, if I click into this chart, you see the particular data that we use to create them, which is we have the total column here. All right, understand? That's exactly what we needed to create this chart. But if I click into this one, you see that the entire data is being selected. Okay, then maybe you can use you can decide to remove the total salaries from among them, right? But I just want to show you, at least you can see the look and feel and some certain differences. So let's just move back to our what we are talking about, managing duplicate records in our tables. So I was talking about data cleaning. Okay, when you're working with whether it is in range or table, data cleaning is one of the crucial aspects of data analysis. It's something that happens often. Okay, so imagine someone accidentally entered duplicate employee ID. Okay, instead of manually, let me go to our data. Okay, so instead of, for instance, now someone mistakenly, we already have E1253. Probably someone mistakenly entered a duplicate data here. Okay, instead of manually, looking for these what is it called? These duplicates. Okay, instead of manually formatting, you just use conditional formatting. Okay, then let's do that. If you want to let me quickly go to the table. If you want to do this, you can use conditional formatting to get the duplicate, okay, that you want. So if you look at it, go to the home tab, you will see, go to the styles, you will see conditional formatting. Okay, so if I click into the conditional formatting, you can select different formatting that you want to use. So I can, for this instance, since I want to find duplicate entry, okay, probably for the, let me, before we continue, let me increase the size of these so that all the column header will be name will be visible for us. Okay, so go to the home tab, go to conditional formatting. We want to find duplicates in our data using conditional formatting. So you go to highlight cell. When you click on conditional formatting, you have different options you can use. Okay, for this, in this case, we'll go to highlight cell rules. Okay, because we want to find duplicate values. So if you hover or click into the highlight cell rules, you can see rules that we want to use. So in this case, duplicate values. Okay, we want to find the duplicate values and we want to highlight that values. Okay, if you want it to what color you want to use, you want it to be bright red or fill with dark red or let me see other options we have. Yellow fill with dark yellow text, green fill with dark green text, and let's say I prefer this bright red. Okay, fill with dark red text. So the background will be light red, while the text will be dark red. Okay, or we can just decide to say red text. The background will remain white, but any duplicate value we have will turn to red. So let's say, let me use this for instance, and I'll say okay. Okay, I think first of all, I have to select the data that I want to. Let me undo that. So that I will first of all select the data that you want to find the duplicate. So I can decide to come here, okay, and select the particular cell that I want to find duplicate on, or I can decide to come here. Yeah, I can decide to come here. Okay, let me just if you hover over the headers, okay, when you click, I want to show something here. When you hover over the headers, okay, if you click it once, it will select only the data without the head. If you click it twice, it will select the header name as well. That's the column name or something like that. So bear that in mind. Now we can now go to the conditional formatting. Okay, then highlight cells loose, then go to the duplicate. Now we want to use that light red field with dark red text. And if I say okay, now if you look, there is no duplicate, but let me just add a duplicate here. Let me repeat E 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, 1, 2, 5, 12. Yes, enter. You can see, because we have a duplicate, it has been highlighted for us. Okay, so the moment I added the duplicate, intentionally though, it formatted it for us. So I didn't mean that we have a duplicate in our data. It we would have been able to find it. Okay, but the reason why is because we don't have a duplicate. So I intentionally added a duplicate. Okay, let me add another duplicate as well, so that you see E1, 2, 3, 2. Let me say this. Okay, it will see, it will highlight it again. Okay, so wherever that we have both, that values that we are duplicated, okay, Excel will highlight them. That's why we use a conditional formatting, okay, to highlight these cells so that we can be able to trace these duplicates quicker. Okay, as you can see, having a light red background and a red text is easy to find, right? So once you see that, oh, we have a duplicate data, we have a duplicate values in that column. Then you can decide to remove these duplicates. Okay, so to remove duplicates, then you go to the table design. Okay, so make sure you select the table. You go to the design, table design. Then you can decide to remove duplicates by clicking this remove duplicates. Okay, so to do that, you have to select if I said duplicate, you have to select the column to check. Okay, then Excel will do the job instantly. So let me just select the what is it called, remove duplicates. So is the employee ID is where we want to look for the duplicate. So that's the only one we will need to select. So what I will do is to say unselect all. Then I will come to the employee ID and select it, right? Then I will say okay. Okay, automatically Excel found two duplicate values and removed them for us. You see, Excel, we used conditional formatting to find duplicate, and we intentionally added a duplicate. Using the conditional formatting, highlight cell rules and duplicate values, Excel flagged those duplicates for us visually, so we are able to see it. Now, to remove it, you go to the design tab because we are working with table. That's why you have to go to the table design tab. Then you go to you see remove duplicates. Understand? You don't even have to bother about how to remove the duplicates, how tough it is. With tables, just go to the table design. You see the tools group here. You see remove duplicates. Understand? Then if you click on it, you select which column you want Excel to look for this duplicate. Then since we have a duplicate in the employee ID, we selected employee ID and Excel found it. How many duplicates did we added? It was 2. So Excel found this duplicate for us and remove it instantly. Okay. So if I click OK, if we check our data, you see that there is no more duplicate. Okay. That's how Excel does this job for us instantly. Okay. So you also notice when you scroll down, the header row gets pinned automatically. That's one thing about tables. Okay. As we are scrolling, you see this header row, the employee ID, last, first, gender, email. If I scroll, it appears, it remains pinned for us. Okay, when you scroll down, the header row get pinned automatically in the column labels. No more free space. If you remember our class when we talked about free space, okay, if you join one of our classes where we discuss about free space with tables, we don't bother about this free space anymore because automatically Excel will pin the column header for us, okay, while you are scrolling down. Okay, so that's another functionality that tables give us in Excel. So the next thing we talk about is sorting and filtering tables. Okay, sorting and filtering tables. Sorting and filtering work like magic in tables. Okay, so we see how you can filter from header, how we can filter from data tab, and how we can use the right click to filter. Okay, then you can also see the multi-level sort that we can perform, where you want to sort by department, you also want to sort by the last name, and you also want to sort by the first name. Okay, then you also see how you can sort by color. That's conditional formatting. Using conditional formatting, you sort by color. Then we also see how you can use smart date filters like year, month, group, okay, to filter our data. Okay, so sorting and filtering work like magic in tables. You can use the drop down in the headers. Let's quickly go back to our data. So you can easily use this drop down here to either filter or sort your data. This filter drop down in your table headers. Okay, you can use it to sort or filter. You can also go to the table tab. Understand? In the data tab, I mean to say in the data tab, yeah. Then you can find whether you want to sort, that's A to Z or Z to that's whether you want to sort, increment or decrement. Okay. On the If you want to filter as well, you can use the filter funnel to filter your data from the data tab. Okay. So that's how you can. So we can decide to use any of these. Okay, we can decide. Let's say I want to filter the first name. Let's say I want to find just maybe this first. Let me select or then I'll select only I want to see Anya and probably, or let's just see the Anya information. Say okay, Excel will hide every other data. We have thought about filtering and sorting our previous classes. Okay, then if you can decide to clear the filter by in the data tab, you click on clear, it will clear it, or you can come here and you click on clear filter from first, that's the first name. If you click on it, it will clear the filter and the Excel will restore the data for you. And if you want to sort, you can do the same thing, whether you want to sort A to Z or Z to A, or you can also do the same thing from the data tab. And in this case, let's do that from the data tab. So I want to sort that particular column. Let me check. First of all, I will have to, let's say I want to sort this particular, let's do with this one. I want it, okay. Let's do with this one. Then I want to sort it probably, let me use Z to A, understand? So you can actually sort from whether from the design tab or from the drop down that is in the column header, okay? And you can decide to undo it, okay? You can decide to undo or, to have all the data selected, or you can just come here and see that you say, okay, you can just decide to undo it. All right, understand? You can decide to undo, click undo to remove the sorting from the data. Okay, so we can say undo. Okay, it will remove the sorting for you. All right. So another thing we can do is multiple level sorting. Okay, if you want to do multiple level sorting, we can do that. Okay, from this tab here. Okay, or you can actually see if we can do that from I don't know if here has the, I think in the custom filter, okay, or sort. Okay, you can decide to filter. If you go to the custom filter, you can do that, or we can quickly multiple selection. Okay, multi selection and all of that. Multi selection, you can be able to sort by multiple selection. So there is actually a tool that can help you to sort by multiple selection. Okay, if you want to sort by department and first name and last name, just like we said, you can actually use this tool. So if you click inside this tool, okay, you can see automatically it detects, okay, we have sorted by department, and we sorted it Z to E, I mean Z to A. Then we want to add more levels, okay, that we want to sort, because this is a multi-level sorting. So all we have to do in this tab that just appear when we click this particular tool is to click on the add level. Okay, it's a multiple. We want to sort it by multiple level, not just one level, not just one column, but by two columns. So once you click on the add level, I just clicked on it. That's why this place appeared. Now Excel is expecting you to decide which column you want to sort here, and in this case the last name. Okay, this is actually the last name of the employees, and we want to sort also by A to Z. For instance, let's select Z to A as well. Then also click on the add level again. This time we want to sort by first name, and here we will leave it at A to Z. So this is a multi-level sorting that will sort the column. But first of all, sort the department, okay, then move and sort the last name and also the first name, okay. So this is a multi-level sortings that will give you more control over your data. Okay, we have been able to see how you can be able to perform these sortings. Okay, like I said, you can also use conditional formatting to sort, want to apply colors, I mean filter data by applying color, filter by conditional formatting to apply color. So practice. Then you can also filter by right clicking. Okay, whether you want to filter or sort. Okay, you can do that by right clicking and you select how you want to filter. If you want to filter by selected cells value, just like we have this cell selected. Okay, so you can actually decide if you want to filter by selected cell value or by select by color, filter by selected cells, color, and all of that. You have many options to choose, and the same thing goes to sorting. If you want to sort, you can decide if you want to sort A to Z or Z to A, or put selected cell color on top and all that. So you have more options, okay, or control over how you want to sort your data. You can actually use custom sorting to, in the custom sorting is just like applying the multi-level we did just now. Okay, so it's like having control this time. Okay, if any of these options in any of these options here is not what you want to do, you can actually use the custom and apply. Okay, just like for instance, let me open that tab again. In here, what if you want to sort on other, it's no longer it's no longer by value. So now you want to sort maybe by cell color or by font color. Probably if you have different colors, there are some cells. Okay, for instance, we have applied conditional formatting, and they have different colors, maybe green, red, yellow, and all that. You can decide to sort them based on, you want to see those that met the, maybe if it is profit, you want to see where you had profit and loss, and the neutral where it is neutral. So you want to sort those that have where you have more profit to to be on top, and um, followed by probably neutral, then loss. Okay, so you can actually decide. That's when you can decide maybe if you want to sort by font color or cell color, depending on, just like this one is cell color, not this particular column M is cell color, not font color. So you can decide whether you want to sort. Maybe each cells has different color. The conditional formatting you did was you apply the color on the cell, not on the value itself, on the font itself. Okay, or if you have a kind of conditional formatting where you use cell icons, so you want to sort them by that. So you have more control over the custom sorting or multi-level sorting. And if you want to delete any particular level, in the sorting you have already applied before, you have to do is to select that cell, click delete. Okay, if you want to copy the level, you can copy it and you paste again and all of that. Okay, that's how it works. If you want to move it maybe up, if you want to move this level to now be on top, you can use these tools here. Okay, like if you select this one now, you see, because it's on top, these tools is being highlighted or selected. Okay, when you hover onto it, it tells you if you want to move down, you can click on it and to move down for you. So that's for the sorting and the filtering. We have actually discussed sorting and filtering in during our basic classes. So we don't want to waste much time on it. Okay. So the next thing we want to discuss about is the magic of total low. Okay, the magic of total load. So you can actually turn on table design and you go to total row. Then you can add the total row, be able to see the total row um in your data. Okay. And it's a quick calculations that you can perform, whether you want to see the count, average, or sum. Okay, and whether you want it to update automatically with the filters. Okay, when you apply filter on it, and all that. Even this time around, it's not sum. Okay, it is using what it's called subtotals. Okay, subtotals. And that's why when you apply filter on it, you can be able to see total for that particular filters. Okay, so this is one of the uh, um, um, tools that makes table very powerful. Okay, and it's one of my favorite tricks. Okay, that's we call it total loop. Okay, it's one of my favorite tricks. I use them a lot when I want to find a subtotal of my data, especially when I turn them into table. Okay, so do this. You have to come to Excel. Then you when you go to Excel, you can go to the you can see because this is a table. Okay, and for you to be able to do that, you must select any cell inside the table. If I click out of the table, you can see the design tab that we have here have disappeared. So the moment I click into it, you can see the design tab. If you click into this design tab, this is where you can find these functionalities. Okay, so I can decide to see the total row. I will check it. If I once I check it, it will add a total row for us. I mean subtotal. Okay, it's actually a total row for where we can see the total of you know each especially columns that has numbers or especially amounts, okay, currencies and all that. So now we have been able to see the total row for this pension. And what's powerful is that this total dynamically updates with your filters. If you want to filter other to see, just like we did filter, want to see our employees that in accounting department, we can be able to see also the total of the salary that are being paid to them. Another thing is always is there are functionalities that's added to it. If you come to this, you see a drop down here. In each of these column, you see this drop down. You can decide to apply some of these also called statistical analysis. If you want to sum, if you want to find the mean, you want to find the median, you want to find this, you want to count. So if I click into one of the drop down using the pension column, you will see that automatically by default it is sum, okay, that it used to find the subtotal. So what if you want to find the mean or the max? You can actually apply that, or even the standard deviation and all that. So for instance, if you want to find the maximum pension amount, you can use the max and you can be able to see it, okay, out of all of the values we have here, you will be able to know, okay, $9,126 is the highest. Okay, you can as well find the mean, okay, the minimum amount. Okay, so let's go back to sum to find the subtotal sum of everything that we have here. So you can decide to do the same for the salary. Maybe for the salary, you can decide to add make sum as well, and you see the sum for this. So you can decide to count. Okay, you want to know how many department, number of departments totally we have. So you can actually say count and you find, the number of departments we have. So these are tools, that make it very, very powerful. And again, you can actually, filter. Okay, for instance, for example, if I want to filter by marketing department, just like we before we filtered by accounting, but this time let's filter by the marketing department. So let's say, do we have marketing department? Okay, let's say we want to filter by okay, let me say customer service. Okay, let's filter by customer service. And if I click OK, okay, we have been able to see, okay, the annual salary for all of our employees that works in the customer service department, okay, and the pension, the total pension for each of these employees, all of them all together. And we have been able to also see that, okay, we have 5 employees in the customer service department and all of that. Okay, so that's what makes table powerful. You can be able to, even when you filter the table, you can as well find the total row as long as you have this total row turned on, right? So I can decide to filter, clear the sorting, okay, or the filter, I mean to say, by selecting the clear all, and that's it for us. Okay, so here we have been able to see how you can use the subtotal function, okay, which ignores hidden rules when you filter them. Okay, when you filter, just like we did filtered by, for instance, let's say by the executive this time, it will hide other rules and only show you information for the executive department, right? So that's how you can be able. This doesn't happen if you just use some. Okay, if you just use some, you will not be able to find this. When you filter, you will not find the subtotals. Okay, if I had just use some without turning these total rule on, you will not be able to, you know, when we filter, you will not find the subtotal. So if you want to have these functionalities, you must turn this total row on under inside the design tab. Okay, so that's it for the magic of the total row. So the next thing we want to talk about is automation. Okay, automation, auto extending tables. So if you want to, add more, maybe you want to add more column, to our data, or more rows. Okay, because we have used table, it auto applies. Okay, that's one of the, another thing that makes table to be very, very, very powerful. Okay, the automation. Okay, here is where tables really shine over ranges. Okay, if you add a new row or formulas or format, everything auto applies. Okay, so if you decide to enter a new department, or just like, okay, I was looking for a marketing department, and if you decide to add a marketing department, just by entering it, everything, format, formulas, will apply to that new role that we added. Okay, so whether you add a new staff member, it will apply, so expand the table for you, and every formulas and the format and the whatever that was applied on that table we ought to apply on it. Okay. Okay. So the same thing happen when you add a new column. Okay, when you add a new column, the headers format, the headers for that particular new column will format correctly. Okay, and the formula autofills. Okay, it autofills down, so you don't have to even bother about using the flash fill. Okay, to do this. Okay, so even better when you have charts. Maybe you have visualized some of the column of the tables and you want to find an insight. When you add a new information on that table, it auto applies, okay, on the table for you. We have seen how that works, right? We have seen how that works. So let's go to our Excel, right? Yeah. So for instance, if I decide to add a column, I will call it packages, or let's say total package. Let's call it packages. Okay, so that we don't um did I get that? Packages, no, packages. Right. So the moment I click enter, you can see the format, the formulas, everything auto applied. Okay, or to apply on it, okay, on the both the column and the rows of it. So this is the automation, the power of automation that we are talking about. Okay, automation or to extending tables. As long as you're using tables, this feature will apply for you. Now in these packages, we want to find for instance, this package will be the sum of annual salary and pension. Okay, so we can decide to say either you say equal to you can say annual salary plus pension. Okay, we can actually do the annual salary plus pension. I think, yeah, no. Okay, pension. No, that's not what I want to do. Let me clear it. Okay, so annual salary plus pension. Let me just say 01 so that this will work for us for now. Sorry. Okay. So if you click, it's a value error. Okay. So let me use. I think we have applied name list. So let's try with annual. Let me see if you have. Okay, annual salary. Okay, plus pension. So let's use name ranges. So it's what's happening? Pension. Okay, tab. Enter. All right. So you see, we have been able to find the total of these and these. Being able to get a full package for each employee. That's the both the employee salary and the employee's pension together. And you can see automatically it fills down. I don't have to even use the flash fill to do that. Okay, so that's the power of table, the autofill, the automation, and all that. It applies automatically for us. Okay, so I can actually decide to format this and turn it to a currency instead. Okay, then I'll flash fill. Okay, to copy that formatting down. So that's how you can be able to use that's how actually how automation is, or rather I would say table is useful because it applies automation, or what we call extending tables. Wherever you do, it applies. Okay, if it was normal ranges, you might need to apply the formatting on it again, manually and all that. Okay, so that's it. Then the next thing we want to talk about is let's say we want to talk about is um structural references in tables. Structural references. Okay. So when you write formulas inside a table, you will notice they look different. Okay. Something like the moment, let me go back to Excel. Okay. I think I showed the example here. Okay. It has a clean formulas instead of that O1 I wanted to try before. The reason why I tried using that O1, that's column O, row 1, is because I couldn't select, because of space, I couldn't select the pension um, rule. Okay, so I tried to use that and it was giving me value error. I have to use the name ranges because we have actually applied name ranges on this data. Okay, but except that it would have been able, one thing about when I selected, let me come here and show you. If you come here now and I will say equal to, and I will say annual, the moment I select the cell, okay, the first cell in the annual salary, you can see how the formula is written at, okay, you can see square bracket at square bracket, annual salary, the closing square bracket for the opening square bracket. You can see it is a clean format. Even if I say now say plus, oh goodness, the thing, let's enter. Sorry, I mistakenly. And you can see the moment I did this, it auto applied. Okay, it auto applied, but that's not what I wanted to do before. Let me do so that we can be able to, okay, do what I actually wanted to do in the first place. All right. So here I will say equal to, for instance, if you select the annual salary and you say plus pension, you can see uh, the formulas how it is written. It is a clean formula. Okay, it helps you to understand. Okay, this is actually annual salary plus pension, just like the importance of using name ranges. Okay, tables also give you the same functionalities, giving you a cleaner formula. Okay, that's what I was trying to explain here. Okay, it gives you a clean formulas. Okay, then it will adjust with as the table grows. Okay, it auto adjust, just like even when I made a mistake, you see what happened. So it's also easier to read. than cell references. Instead of having maybe N1 plus O1 and all of that, you you know what if maybe, for instance, we have more rules and you could no longer see even the values that in those O1 and the N1. You might not be able to know, oh, what is this all about? But by the time you come and you see annual salary, pension, you know, oh, it's all about annual salary column and the pension. So that's the importance, okay, of reference in using tables. So you don't have to bother about the whether it is relative or mixed reference or absolute. But I think by default, table is formatted to be absolute reference, just like name ranges does. Okay, so that's it for the references or structured reference. Okay, in the table is actually structured reference, not whether mixed or whether absolute or relative. It is called structured reference in table. So the next thing we'll talk about is subtotals with ranges. We try to use subtotals in table, but there is a way you can use subtotals in ranges. One thing here is that the one you can use on table, you can use it on ranges. The one that these subtotals we are going to try now, you can use it on table. That is where ranges, have, you know, some power, over tables. So we can actually try subtotals in with ranges instead of using the table. So to do this, first of all, we need to convert our table to a range, okay, the normal range. So we can actually do that by coming to the design tab, then you can see convert to a range. But before that, let me see, okay, what I have to explain first. So you can convert table to a range first, then data tab, then you go to data tab, then you go to subtotal, then you group by, can group by department, or we can group by employee ID, whichever one you want to group by. You can use the function, whether you want to sum the salary, you want to sum the pension on the package, then applying the levels 1, 2, 3, 4, expand or collapse. So what this is talking about now is, okay, first of all, the first thing we need to do is to convert the table first to a range. Okay, so before you can do anything with table, you have to make sure that you select that table. That is why I have to click into this any cell inside that table so that the design tab will appear. Then go to the design tab. Then we want to convert this table to a range. So we click convert to a range, and so we want you like, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? Yes. Right. So we now have a normal range, and you can see that drop down filter drop down has disappeared. Okay. So now we have, even though it retains the format, okay, but it is no longer a table, now a range, right? And even here, if you click into this place, you will see that although it's still it's instead of that square bracket. Okay, actually we use name ranges. That's why I thought we used the structural reference. We use name ranges, so that's why we still have the name ranges here. So another thing now, what do we want to do? We want to use the subtotal. So the first thing you will now do is to come to the data tab. You come to the data tab, then you come here, you can see the subtotal here. Okay, then you click on this subtotal. Once you click it, then do you want to, for instance, okay, since we said by department, okay, let me see if I can select it by department, or let's say, okay, let me scroll down, or we can actually leave it with employee ID. So since the employee ID has to do with each employee, okay, or let's try department first and see. So I want to sort by department, then we leave it at sum. Okay, want to find the subtotal by sum. We can actually change it later if you want. and I want to apply this in the package, in the pension, in the annual salary, right? Then I will say, okay, okay. Now, what this does is that you can see on the department, okay, it found the subtotals, okay, for each department. So we'll find subtotal for sales, that's sales total, IT total, human resources total, facility total. That's how it goes. Okay, so we find subtotal per each of these departments, right? Now, if you see sales totals here in the annual salary, because we selected only the annual salary, pension, and packages, that's why you can only find those totals there, right? Instead of, if we select more, had it been we select, but this is not a currency, it's not an currency amount that we want to find some for. So that's why you have to make sure you select the data that is it could apply for. If you are looking for count, maybe you can decide to select the date or the first name and last name and all of that, right? So we have been able to find the subtotal for all of these each of these departments, okay, using the department. And if you want to okay, there is something, let me go back. Okay, this out total here you want to group by, so make sure that I explain everything to you better. Okay, after asking the total, okay, from the data tab you go to subtotal. Here you click on it, then you group by department. Okay, here we want to group it by department, right? So after grouping by department, then you sum by annual salary, sum by pension, sum by packages, right? Then you click OK, right? So that's why it gave us this. And here we have subtotal for each department, right? And here we have it, what is called grand total. Okay, let me extend, give me a moment, and I'll still explain further. Okay, let me double click any or this. Yeah, all right. So the reason why we have those hash 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 is because the number is actually, we need to extend the width of the column so that you can be able to see those numbers. That's why I have to extend I have to select the whole data to extend all of the, automatically apply the width extension in all of the columns. Okay, so that is it. Okay, you can as well see over here what we call levels. Here when we talk about in the PowerPoint, talk about outline levels 1, 2, 3 for expand and collapse. If you come here, you see this outline level 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can decide to collapse any one of them or expand it. Okay, so it shows you each level. For instance, if you select the number one, it collapses other ones, and you can be able to see the first level is actually the grand total, right? It's actually the grand total. Then if you select the level 2, you see this level 2 is actually the total, just the total for all of these departments. You want to see only the totals. You don't want to see other information. So you want to focus more on the total per each department. That's for the level 2. The level 3 is where you want to see all the information, right? You want to see the information for all of these departments, cells, and all of that. Want to see them, right? So all of them will appear. So if you want to see just the grand total, you don't want to know whether it is, you have a total from sales, from IT, from human resources. You just want to see the grand total. You go to the level 1 and you find out, right? Find the grand total alone. So if you want to see per department here in the level 2, and if you want to see everything, and select the level 3, and that's how to do this. Okay, so the best practices you will have to, let me discuss the best practices you can use between table, because one thing is that One thing is that you cannot apply what we just did here in the table. You see how we're able to use subtotal. So the thing about subtotal in the table is that once you go to the design tab after you are, then you add the data to add total row. So you give it subtotal of the data. Then if you want to see the subtotal for each department, you will have to filter the data. Okay, you have to filter it so that you see the subtotal. And again, you have to make sure you are not, it is not sum, it is subtotal. Just like we apply subtotal here, we didn't use sum for this range, even after we converted to a range, right? So that is for table. But for range, here you can actually use subtotal from the data, from the view structure of the data. You can actually see each of these subtotal without filtering. Okay, you can use the multi-level, the level 1, 2, 3 to find them, or you can actually scroll and you can see the subtotals. You want to see the sales total for the salary, pension, and the total package. You see that. Okay, so the best practices that we want to talk about is say use tables for raw data and dashboard. Okay, when you are working with raw data and dashboard, you want to create dashboard visualization. Make sure that you convert your data to a table first. Okay, make sure that your data is converted to a table. Okay, now use range. You can convert to range for group summaries, just like we did. This is a group summaries that we applied. Okay, each group we grouped by the department, then we now sum by the, after grouping by department, we summed by the annual salary, pension, and package. Okay, so if you want to use this what is called summaries, okay, you can actually use, make sure you convert it to I mean what is called group summaries. Make sure you convert it to range, okay, for you to be able to use that. Okay, it's actually a rule, okay, a rule of thumb for you. Use tables for anything that is related to raw data or raw data entry. What I mean by raw data, when you are entering data manually, first of all, convert it to a table so that each formatting or formula you apply to the first one will auto applies. You don't have to be doing them manually one after the other. If you are using just a range, you keep on applying those formats. But once it is stable, it auto applies for you. Now convert it back to range if you want to find the group summaries. After you find the group summary without filtering, you don't have to filter to see the group summaries, right? To convert to a range. Okay, then another thing, tables auto update charts. Okay, table auto update charts. So for instance, what is this talking about? Let me see if we have charts. Okay, yeah, we have some charts. So you can see if I convert this, okay, let me for instance, this is I think, let me click into this chart here. Let me see. Okay, this chart is actually created from this data here. So if I want to convert this data, this particular data, to a table, okay, can actually use Ctrl T, okay, or you can go to the data tab to convert it to okay. Or for instance, let me okay, I don't know if I should create a new data for this, but what I'm trying to say is that if, okay, this is actually a table. Okay, this is already a table. Okay, this is actually a table. Understand? Even though you can actually remove those filter by clicking, just like we did. So because I didn't see those filter, I thought it was a range. So this is actually a table. So this visualization was created from this table. And what this means is that if I decide to add a marketing department, for instance, let's add a marketing department. Okay, marketing. And if I click enter, you can see it auto applies on the chart. Okay, it doesn't have to. So any value I add here, it will, add here. Maybe if I decide to for instance, if I decide, okay, this is, let me see the formula they use. Sum if annual salary, department, 8 into 1. So what this means, because we don't have marketing in the entire data we have here. That's why there is no value here. Okay, they are all zero. But one thing I want you to see is because this is a table, anything you added here, it will auto applies. You see, marketing department has been added for us automatically. You don't have to bother about coming again to say you want to select and you want to add it so that it will, if it is just a range, you might need to come, and select the whole data just like I did by selecting it, make sure that you've added, or just like the moment you click on the chart, you will see that probably, for instance, if I decide to adjust this up like this, you will see that it stops here. So you have to by yourself draw it down for it to add for you. But table, the moment you do it, the moment you add any new information, any value or whatsoever, it automatically applies for you. That's the importance of using table in Excel, right? So we are discussing the best practices, right? And I've told you when to use tables, when to convert to a range, and why you should use table, especially when you are working with charts or dashboards and all that, is that tables auto update charts, but ranges don't. Okay, ranges don't update. You have to manually, just like I told you, how you can drag down to select that particular new data you added for it to update on the charts. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's class. Okay, so tables are one of Excel's most powerful yet most overlooked features. Okay, they make your workflow faster, cleaner, and more reliable. Okay, so you have to learn how to practice using them while it feels natural. Okay, because it actually helps you. Okay, and it makes things easier for us. Okay, so practice using them until it feels natural, like you have become used to it. They will save you hours in the long run. Once you master tables, Excel transforms from a basic grid into a dynamic analysis tool. Okay, so another thing is that tables are the superpower that Excel experts wish they had learned earlier. So you too, make sure that you learn it now, not better, right? Because it's actually going to help you in your career as a data analysis. And that's brings us to the end of today's class. If you come across this video, please hit the follow button so that you know when we update or upload a new video, new content like this. Thank you for joining me today.